Hey guys,
Hi.
it's Jen and
Ben.
And this is Ask Jen.
And Ben.
So today's topic is on interracial relationships. We just felt like it would be better for us to get things out in the open and have a really positive discussion about our experience and just sort of answer some of your questions that you have about it. So let's go ahead and hop right in.
Yeah.
I am Korean American. My parents immigrated from South Korea. And what is your ethnic background?
White? I think mostly it was like German, Irish, further back down the generational line.
To give better context, we were both born and raised in Kansas. At the time, Kansas was not a very diverse place. That's like the gist of where we both come from.
So when we first started dating, I remember that you were eating jjajangmyeon. Do you remember? I called it chocolate noodles.
Yes.
Because I had no idea
He
why
thought it
there
was
was
bizarre.
a brown paste.
Mind you, we were 16 years old.
16.
Yeah.
Not nearly as cool internet
Savvy.
knowledge
I know.
and savvy
We had
as
very
kids
little
nowadays.
exposure.
I think I was really scared of Korean food. And it wasn't until I feel like when we were married that I really got a sense of how to eat some things and knowing more what I would like and what I might not like. Jen would tell me when we lived in Kansas extraordinary tales of Korean barbecue and how delicious it was. And then we go to the one place in Kansas and it's like, it tastes way
underwhelming.
better than this, I promise.
Or everything my mom makes is better than the restaurants in Kansas.
Yeah.
But your stomach physically had to mature in a way. Maybe it took about 4 or 5 years before your stomach really started loving Korean food.
Yeah.
And then once you visited Korea, I think that's when he hit the level of accepting Korean food to the level of a native Korean.
When I first started to get to know you, your dad was working a lot. So I didn't see your dad as often because we're still in high school. But I saw your mom a lot. And your mom is very happy, friendly.
She's very conversational.
Very fluent in English. She's very quick on her feet too. So if she saw that maybe I didn't understand something she was trying to say, she would reword it or she would do something else to try to help convey her message.
Oh, in college, he took elementary Korean and he did quite well. I was very impressed with him. So he does have a little bit basis of knowing Korean and basic Korean words, and he can read Korean as well. Embarrassingly, I also took the same class and aced it real easy.
It wasn't a problem with my parents. When we first started dating and they saw you for the first time, they were very happy that we were happy together. They loved how academic you were, how creative you were. My grandma would brag about Jen to other relatives, to other people in the neighborhood.
As if we were already married and we were 17 years old.
Yeah.
He also has 3 siblings and they all have been very warm and I was friends with all of them as well. That being said, I think more of our difficulties were on my side of the family.
At first.
Yes.
Which I feel like now looking back and putting myself in Jen's mom's shoes, you're in a new country, you have 2 daughters you're very proud of who are very independent, smart, talented people. And then I come in and I'm I only like peanut butter and jelly. What is this what is this Korean food? I can understand if she was not completely satisfied with her daughter's choice and a dating partner.
To be fair, we were both not very impressive at 16.
Yes.
So the way that it was handled with me for years into me dating Ben, my mom would keep saying things like, oh, this auntie at church, she has a son who's visiting from Korea. He's going to be living here in the United States. He's really cute and he's been going to church. Do you want to meet him? Or constantly trying to hook me up with young Korean guys that were local. And this was very hurtful to me because, like I said, this was 3 to 4 years into me steadily dating the same guy. It's hard to not take that personally and really feel like she's very strongly objecting my relationship. Maybe by the time it was about 5 years or so into us dating, it was pretty obvious to my parents that we were in a very, very serious relationship. We intended to stay together. So in that way, I think my parents sort of accepted Ben the person instead of Ben the outsider. Huge things that helped is Ben really embracing my culture.
Learning to eat like a Korean. Not just eating Korean, but like learning to understand that if Jen's mom comes in and says, I cut some fruit, would you like some? It's not as great to be like, no, I just ate a whole pizza. I'm not really that hungry right now. Like, she's not only wanting to feed me, but she's also wanting me to feel at home. There's multiple things going on, and I can see now why it would be rude to reject.
And you guys, this kind of cultural sensitivity takes years to develop.
Oh, yes.
The reason why Ben is at this level is we started blending our cultures when we were 16 years old. We're 33. And whether you're in an interracial relationship or completely not, that still happens because every family has its own culture. And once you decide to be together, you're having to make a choice to compromise your culture, teach the other person where you come from, and also learn where they're coming from. So that's an important lesson that can go for anybody, no matter what the color of your skin is. If I have one regret from my wedding, it's that it was very difficult for me to be able to do all of the Korean traditional things that I really wanted to do when we got married. The fact that it was in Kansas. If we had gotten married here in LA, there are so many places available where you can get the traditional hanboks and the traditional costumes and props and everything.
Even now, I'm sure it's easier in Kansas just because of the internet. Like,
oh yeah, the internet.
Ability to order things, to go on Yelp.
If I had Pinterest for our wedding, I had to plan it by hand, okay?
Granted, guys, we're not that old.
It just wasn't as developed.
Yeah. Amazon was not doing like 2-day delivery.
No. Plus, a lot of it was a cost issue. If we were going to import it from Los Angeles, that would have been a lot more difficult then than it is now.
In a lot of ways, I think about Jen as my other half in terms of marriage and partnership, and that how I act as a person directly reflects who she chose as her partner. And so it's always very important to me to try to be as empathetic as possible. There was one time we were watching the Super Bowl, this Groupon ad came on, and it was making fun of Tibetans. And I remember after I watched the commercial, I was like, well, that was like a really tasteless commercial. I looked over and Jen was just like fuming, like furious. When we started talking about it, she was telling me how it made her feel and how it was just like completely disrespectful. And I think that was one of the biggest signs that there are things that even if it makes me upset, it could make somebody way more upset because they have way more of a history and involvement. It could be even more personal to them.
Even now, when I see things that I sort of interpret as microaggressions, a lot of times I'll just go to Ben and I'll say, hey, I get the feeling that this is kind of racist and it makes me uncomfortable and I just need to talk this out. And we just have a really honest and kind of raw conversation about it to try to just figure out fully why we feel that way and how we should respond to it. I don't mean going onto Twitter or whatever, but just literally how we're processing that emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We're both not the kind of people who make relationships to gain something out of someone else. I think in that sense, it was a culture shock to both of us when I started posting things on the internet and getting this kind of negative rhetoric from people for the first time, because our friends never said anything about us being an interracial relationship. I think we were aware of it because of the cultural things we had to go through, but we didn't think of ourselves as being bucking a cultural norm.
Yeah.
We just liked each other. to have people just assume that about you, and not only just assume that about you, but like really say horrible, demeaning, crass, sexualized, fetishized things. It's honestly a developing of a next level of patience and compassion that a lot of people out there who aren't a minority never have to face.
I think on a personal level, it sucks that you and I have both put so much effort into almost 17 years now, and to having somebody just taking like a snap judgment of like looking at us and being like, oh, she's trying to buy into white privilege, or like, oh, he has yellow fever. It takes everything about our soulmate connectiveness, like utopia of our relationship. It's so perfect. So perfect. In all honesty, it takes a lot of the stuff that we really hold dear and puts it into this like really negative, uncomfortable space. It's just like, why do we have to defend ourselves?
I mean, at the end of the day, you can't speak for others. You can only speak for yourself. As an interracial couple, we have an obligation to be seen as people and not just a category. People deserve to have that kind of compassion for each other. And that's what we should practice with everyone we come across. You know, judge them for who they are, not who you assume they are before you get to know them.
I think we plan to raise them exactly how we've formulated our life in the past 10 years of marriage, and a blend of cultures, understanding what makes Jen Jen, what makes Ben Ben, but also having them be happy and comfortable with both sides.
I think our tactic is more just to have an open conversation, always be sensitive about it, and if there's a culture clash that comes up, talk about it, and to really share those talks with our children as they grow up. And if they are confused about something or feel uncomfortable or discriminated against or have that racism or whatever it is, hear them out and let them know that their feelings are valid. There's no reason they should push that away or feel like they're not being heard. We want to do that by really going into all of the facets of our culture, you know, just really exposing them to Korean culture and American culture and all of the things that entails, so that they can learn to have a broader sense of what's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny because we've already started to raise Arya bilingually. It's like the words she's learning in Korean, Ben also knows.
I am also learning. Earlier when Jen mentioned that I took Korean class, like it made me understand like the Korean alphabet, how things are pronounced, how words flow together. And so when Arya gets taught a new word, it's really easy for me to grasp on and learn because she repeats it like 90 billion times. And the more I will say it, the more she catches onto it.
Ben has really good pronunciation for Korean too, because I'm very picky about that.
She is very picky.
Especially because we do live in a much more diverse area. My hope is that she'll be able to grow up with a little more comfort for having a cultural mixture than I was growing up in an area that was very, very different than my home culture. We both come from Christian backgrounds, and so when it came to things with morals and religion and spirituality, we already agreed on a lot of that. So even though we were so culturally different, the fact that we both have the same spiritual beliefs made up for a lot of cultural gaps. For people who have different religions and religious backgrounds, I think the main thing is to just have a lot of respect for the other person. Try to get to know more about their beliefs, their backgrounds, and the kind of people they are. When you have more of a broad picture of why that person is the way they are, it helps a lot when you're trying to come to compromises or when there's conflicts.
It's important to respect their beliefs, their opinions, their likes, because that's why they're the person that you're attracted to. Growing up with them and learning about them more, that's something that can help you guys grow together versus feeling like because there is this different belief system with you both, that it's something that's going to push you apart sometime in your relationship.
The way to bridge that gap is to really humble yourself and come to them from a place of being more open-minded and open-hearted. Everybody has a full story and everybody has a full reasoning for why they feel a certain way. But I mean, there's the old saying of kill them with kindness.
Or dishes.
And sometimes kindness means trying to go out of your way to understand what they consider to be love. Learning their love language. Is it like, if she really likes flowers, you could bring her flowers. If she likes food, you can offer to cook for them for a dinner one night. I think that before you can just verbally come to an agreement, sometimes it takes more of showing them that you're making a concerted effort and that you have a lot of respect and compassion for them.
I think that was actually what changed a lot of the relationship with your mom and myself. Like, the more Korean that I spoke, the more that I tried to like eat dishes that she had cooked, and the more that I went with you to like family events and stuff like that, the more effort that I put in, she started to say things to me like how she felt like I was her son. And we'll go on grocery store trips together because we're both the cooks. When they see us like pushing the cart or like picking out squid or something like that, you know, they'll come up and ask her in Korean like, oh, who is that? And she'll be like, this is my son. And she'll say like with a big smile, and she'll like give me a hug. But
yeah, she likes to brag on him.
Yeah.
So instead of standing up, it's about standing down and being very generous.
Because that will get you to a place where you feel much more comfortable versus trying to feel like you need to defend yourself because you're being attacked.
Or that you need to be heard.
Right.
Korean. For us, sometimes if we feel like the world is at odds with us, we're choosing us as our family, and we stand by each other. I don't know if you...
Dang.
Rapid fire.
I can't.
No. No. It is more so now than it used to be. I think in my high school there was one adopted Korean girl and then one Korean guy who moved during the school year and hated it because there weren't other Korean people.
Out of a graduating class of 400?
450.
450?
Yeah.
There you go, diversity. Food.
Sarcasm.
Oh,
it's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, Benny, I know this was a hard topic. Give me a high five.
Hey.
Yes, we are here for each other. Thank you guys so much for making through this very controversial, difficult, but important to talk about topic. If you guys felt like this was a meaningful conversation, or if it just gave you a little more insight, then feel free to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Ask Jen and Ben.
Yeah.
And if you guys have ideas for topics you want us to talk about in future videos, let me know that down in the comments below. Or if you're a part of an interracial relationship or have had an interracial relationship in the past, let me know your story, because I think it's really important to just see and hear more real experiences from humans.
Not robots.
Please, robots, do not comment.
Or puppies.
Or puppies. I mean, interracial puppies are pretty cool. We love you guys.
Yeah.
We will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.